Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. Terry McLaurin, the undisputed top wide receiver of the Washington Commanders, finds himself in the center of a storm that seems to get more turbulent with every passing day. What began as whispers of a contract dispute has now exploded into full-blown media speculation, with his recent trade request adding even more gasoline to the fire. Despite McLaurin's consistently elite production, the kind that most teams dream of, his approach has come under scrutiny. The former third-round pick has taken a hard stance, reportedly guided by his agent, and many believe he's now backed himself into a corner. At this point, the only real leverage he has left is to sit out the entire season, something that would certainly hurt both his reputation and his team's competitiveness. The Commanders, for their part, haven't shown any real urgency to get this resolved. They know his value, but they're also standing firm. No panic, no immediate action, just cold calculation. There's an old saying in sports: don't bluff unless you're ready to walk away from the table. And right now, some analysts are starting to believe that Terry McLaurin may have overplayed his hand. He's been a model of consistency for Washington. 1,000-yard seasons like clockwork, leadership in the locker room, and a calm demeanor off the field, but the NFL is a business and emotional equity doesn't pay the bills. Dan Quinn, the new head coach of the Commanders, has wisely sidestepped the issue in public, understanding full well that speaking on another man's money rarely ends well. Quinn's focus remains on building a culture, but there's no denying that McLaurin's absence and ongoing demands are a cloud hanging over the team. Still, he's left the door wide open for a resolution, knowing that if or when it comes, McLaurin will be welcomed back like a prodigal son. The crux of the matter comes down to money and long-term security. McLaurin reportedly wants more than $30 million annually, a figure that has raised eyebrows across the league. It's a high number, no doubt, especially for a receiver who's approaching his 30th birthday. Yeah, you can't deny his production. He's durable, explosive, and a nightmare for defensive backs. That said, Washington isn't blinking. Word is they're around a $27 million range. And while that's already top-tier receiver money, it's not quite what McLaurin is asking for. Stephen A. Smith recently chimed in, saying he believes the Commanders should meet the $30 million mark, but also questioned whether another team would really step up to offer even more. It's a valid point. NFL front offices are analytical, not sentimental. They look at age curves, drop-off rates, and long-term cap implications, not just highlight reels. If McLaurin's camp thought a trade request would force the Commanders' hand, they might have miscalculated. So far, there's been no indication that the front office, led by GM Adam Peters, is interested in shopping him around. And why would they? McLaurin is still under contract, still in his prime, at least for now, and still a cornerstone of this offense. Peters has built his reputation on shrewd moves and patience. He's not going to be bullied into a deal he doesn't believe in, especially if the compensation doesn't blow him away. The unfortunate reality for McLaurin is that while there would be suitors if he hit the market, the return wouldn't be massive. No team is going to give up multiple high draft picks and hand a 30-year-old receiver a $30+ million contract unless they believe he's the final piece of a Super Bowl puzzle. But here's the kicker. Time is not on McLaurin's side. He turns 30 in September. That's the age where receivers, no matter how elite, often begin their decline. Sure, there are exceptions, but the data is clear. Explosiveness wanes, separation gets tougher, and injury risk rises. Peters knows this. That's likely why he's reluctant to commit to such a massive deal that would span into McLaurin's age 34 season. And let's be honest, you're paying for future performance, not past accolades. No matter how loyal or productive a player has been, overpaying for declining years is a surefire way to cripple a roster. That's what makes this negotiation so delicate. McLaurin wants to cash in before Father Time catches up. The Commanders want to make sure they're not the ones left holding the bag when it does. All of this makes for a fascinating and frustrating standoff. McLaurin, frustrated by the lack of movement, has seemingly exhausted every option available. Trade request? Done. Holdout threats implied, media pressure applied. But the Commanders, to their credit or stubbornness depending on your perspective, haven't flinched. That's either a sign of confidence in their position or a gamble that could blow up in their faces. If this drags into the regular season, it becomes a distraction no matter how much Dan Quinn tries to spin it. Locker rooms aren't immune to noise, and players notice when a respected teammate is being stonewalled, especially when that teammate is one of the few consistent offensive weapons they have. The timing of this whole saga couldn't be worse for Washington. They're trying to rebuild a culture, stabilize a new coaching staff, and make a serious playoff push in the competitive NFC East. A disgruntled star player making headlines for the wrong reasons is not part of that blueprint. Yet, here we are. And let's not forget the fan base. McLaurin is beloved by Commanders fans. He's one of the few players who has remained consistent through years of chaos, coaching changes, and front office blunders. He's earned their respect. If this ends with him walking out the door, especially over a relatively small gap in salary, there will be backlash. A smart front office knows that public relations matter, even if they say otherwise. From McLaurin's perspective, the ask is simple: pay me what I'm worth. He sees what Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, and A.J. Brown are making and believes he belongs in that group. Statistically, he has a case. But unlike those players, McLaurin doesn't have playoff success, signature moments, or national recognition to back it up. Fair or not, that matters at the negotiation table. Add in his age, and it's no wonder teams are hesitating to break. The bank. Stephen A. said it best. He can ball, no doubt. But the economics of the NFL are ruthless. Talent alone doesn't guarantee a payday, especially not one that locks a team into long-term risk. The ideal resolution? A compromise. The Commanders bumped their offer to the $30 to $31 million range with front-loaded guarantees. McLaurin accepts a slightly shorter deal with incentives. Both sides save face. The team gets their leader back and McLaurin secures the bag, but that's easier said than done. Pride is involved now. Public perception is in play. The media has taken sides. And sometimes, even when everyone knows the best outcome, they still can't get there. That's what makes this situation so volatile. One wrong move, one more leaked. Quote, and things could spiral out of control. And if that happens, Washington's season might unravel before it even begins. For now, all we can do is wait. Will McLaurin soften his stance and accept the best offer on the table? Will Peters blink and cave to the pressure? Or will this Cold War continue, casting a shadow over training camp and into the regular season? Nobody knows for sure. But one thing is certain. This is more than just a contract dispute. It's a defining moment for both McLaurin and the Commanders. The outcome will speak volumes about how Washington does business under this new regime. And for McLaurin, it could shape the final chapter of an already impressive career. Whether that chapter continues in D.C. or somewhere else, well, that's the $30 million question. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. There's a rumble in the NFL that's impossible to ignore. Just when everyone thought the book was closed on Chase Young's tenure with the Washington Commanders, a tidal wave of speculation is crashing through social media and NFL circles. Alike, whispers of a potential last-minute behind-the-scenes effort by the Commanders to bring back the defensive star have emerged. And if true, this could be one of the most shocking reversals in recent franchise history. Reports began surfacing late Friday night, sourced from anonymous insiders allegedly connected to both the Commanders' front office and Chase Young's representation, indicating that informal talks have been reignited, and these aren't just casual conversations. According to The Buzz, we're talking about back-channel meetings, unpublicized phone calls, and quiet overtures to gauge the viability of reuniting with the former number 2 overall pick. While neither side has confirmed anything officially, the smoke is too thick to ignore. And as we know in the NFL, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. What's driving this rumored reversal? Let's look at the bigger picture. The Commanders have undergone a massive organizational overhaul over the last year, with new ownership eager to rebuild not just the roster, but the entire identity of the franchise. Bringing back Chase Young could be a strategic move not only to reinforce their defensive line, but also to send a message. This team values redemption, potential, and homegrown talent. Young, drafted in 2020, showed flashes of dominance early in his career, even earning Defensive Rookie of the Year honors. But injuries and inconsistent play hampered his progress, ultimately leading to his trade to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, after a short stint out west that saw mixed results, insiders claim Young might be receptive to a return to the place where it all began, especially under a new coaching regime that believes in his upside. Could this be the perfect storm for a blockbuster NFL plot twist? Of course, this raises a ton of questions about logistics. What would it take to bring Young back to Washington? According to sources, the potential deal wouldn't look like a standard re-signing. Instead, some insiders are speculating a creative compensation structure is being discussed, possibly involving performance-based incentives, a short-term contract, or even a conditional pick swap to satisfy all parties. Remember, Young is still young, just 26, and the ceiling remains incredibly high if he can stay healthy. With the Commanders still retooling their defensive front and lacking elite edge presence, the return of a player like Chase could fill a glaring need while also electrifying a fan base that's hungry for a reason to believe again. The financial aspect, though murky, seems to be less of a hurdle than previously assumed. Apparently, new management has flexibility in their cap situation, and if this move can reignite a defensive unit that once terrorized quarterbacks, it might just be worth the gamble. What makes this rumor even more fascinating is the role of new Commanders head coach Dan Quinn. Known for his defensive mind and ability to maximize edge talent, Quinn might see in Young what many others have forgotten: a game changer with the physical tools to dominate any offensive line. During his time with the Falcons and Cowboys, Quinn was revered for developing linemen into elite pass rushers, and there's speculation he believes Young could thrive in his system, perhaps in a way he never could under the previous regime. Quinn's arrival alone has reshaped how free agents view Washington, and his rumored interest in Chase adds another layer of intrigue. Multiple reports suggest that Quinn has personally reached out, not in an official capacity, but through intermediaries, planting the seed of possibility. Whether that seed grows into a reunion remains to be seen, but fans are already imagining the possibilities. Still, not everyone is convinced. Skeptics argue that this is nothing more than mid-season smoke meant to distract from deeper issues. The Commanders have plenty on their plate: quarterback uncertainties, secondary struggles, and questions about their offensive line. Some analysts are saying a Chase Young reunion, while exciting on paper, might be a diversion from larger problems. Yet others counter that moves like this can shift the locker room's energy in a big way. Chase is respected by many of his former teammates, and his return could serve as a rallying point. Don't forget, in the NFL, momentum is a powerful force, and sometimes all it takes is one major move to change the entire narrative of a season. Could this be Washington's turning point, or just a headline-grabbing mirage? Adding fuel to the fire is a cryptic post from Chase Young himself on Instagram just hours after the rumors began circulating. The post featured a throwback photo in a Commander's jersey with a simple caption: "Unfinished business." Fans immediately jumped on it, interpreting it as confirmation of the whispers. The comments section exploded with pleas for his return, while several current Commanders players, yes, verified accounts, liked and commented on the post, further igniting speculation. While it could simply be nostalgia, the timing is undeniably suspicious. Athletes often use social media to communicate in code, and this move felt anything but random. It's moments like these that blur the line between rumor and reality. And if Chase is trying to send a message, Washington is definitely listening. If this deal does happen, it could also signal a major shift in how the Commanders are operating internally. In the past, Washington's front office was criticized for being reactive, disjointed, and short-sighted. But this potential maneuver, if true, suggests a more strategic, forward-thinking approach. By attempting to bring back a former cornerstone, they're not just fixing a past mistake. They're possibly laying the groundwork for a future identity centered around redemption, grit, and continuity. It's a bold play, especially in a league where second chances don't always come easy. But perhaps that's the very reason it's gaining so much traction. Boldness is often rewarded in the NFL, and if Washington can pull this off, it could redefine how they're perceived. League-wide, there's also the 49ers side to consider. Chase Young's time in San Francisco was short and not without its challenges. He showed flashes, but ultimately didn't seem to fit seamlessly into their defensive scheme. With reports that the Niners aren't prioritizing re-signing him long-term, this opens the door for Washington to swoop in. Some league insiders suggest that both parties, Young and the 49ers, are ready to part ways, but want to do so quietly without damaging any future opportunities. This silent exit strategy aligns with the idea of a secret last-minute deal, as no one wants to burn bridges, especially in a league as interconnected as the NFL. If this is the case, a deal could come together quickly and quietly, only to be announced when all the dust settles. In the end, it's important to remember that this is still in the realm of speculation. Nothing is official. But the level of buzz, the signs, and the growing number of subtle confirmations make it hard to dismiss this entirely. We've seen crazier things happen in this league. Player reunions, comeback stories, redemption arcs. They're part of what makes the NFL so addictive. If Chase Young really is on the verge of a stunning return to the Commanders, it won't just be a personnel move. It'll be a statement. A statement that says the Commanders are ready to right past wrongs, embrace the future, and reforge a roster capable of competing. And for fans still dreaming of the team's return to glory, this just might be the spark they've been waiting for. Let's keep our eyes on this one. It's far from over. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.